In traffic, wasn't that?
Town engineer, after my comment earlier tonight, town engineer did not make that statement.
Okay, Mr.
Mr. Lally
did.
said it, but the town engineer did not adopt that statement or make it, so it's
All
not,
right, sorry.
it's not
Mr.
consistent with the record to attribute that to him.
All right. I would like to include some reference to that.
You can, but
I'm
again,
not sure how it would be.
it's in the record.
It's
It's in the record.
Well, wouldn't we
Remember I
have to?
read that out.
But
Would we need
it's
to
also
note that?
contentious.
It's also,
Pardon?
I believe there's differing opinions on the sheet flow on the road.
and in reason number 5, the point that we're talking about is the sheet flow that will be sent on to Evans Drive. And that is not contentious.
That statement also cannot be attributed to the town engineer. That's Mr. Lowry's opinion, just so the record's clear.
I think we have this number on did she read it into the record as there's no 6? So I just wanted to make sure that
Oh, yeah, we should.
reasons, it goes from 5 to 7, so I don't know, I don't recall. If you read it, Holly, as is, it really, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 should be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
I'm missing 6.
We're missing 6. So you would have read what was, I just
I was
noticed
just,
that.
yeah.
So there, it doesn't have a number 6, Jamie?
I don't have to reread all that if we just indicate that what I said is 7, 8, 9, and 10
Right.
are now 6, 7, 8, and 10.
Mr. Chairman, what I'll do
And,
for that is reason number 6 was omitted.
So,
There is,
Right, there wasn't.
but will the,
and we can renumber.
okay, renumber, yeah.
It's still a draft.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't need to show reason number 6 omitted.
Okay, we still have more to read here, okay? So we covered with the reasons and no further changes?
Right, so we ended with reason 10.
Although a number of these may be able to be resolved by modifying the plans and/or other language, the mere purpose of subdivision approval process is to determine that the subdivision of land into lots can support the proposed development. The Commission is in no position to redesign the applicant's proposed subdivision, and the fact that it is an 8-30G application should not undermine the Commission's ability to determine that the proposed development will offer housing that will not the Commission's ability to determine that the proposed development will offer housing that will not jeopardize the residents' safety and or health. So this is all to point A. Now, point B, the decision is necessary to protect substantial public interest in health, safety, or other matters which the Commission may legally consider. The decision is necessary to protect the following public interests: public safety through the provision of safe and adequate transportation systems. That was number 1, sorry. Number 2, consistency with proposed density to protect valuable natural resources, including but not wetlands and water
Let's
courses.
say including but not limited to.
Is that supposed to be, yeah.
So number 2, consistency with proposed density to protect valuable natural resources, including but not limited to wetlands and water courses. Point C, such public interest clearly outweighs the need for affordable housing. Given the substantial public interest cited above, the collective totality of the evidence in the hearing record, including staff and public testimony, documenting the inconsistency of the affordable housing application with long-standing existing policies and goals, the adverse impact on the public health and safety, and the historical effort to plan how the community develops per plan of conservation and of development and comprehensive plan?
Separate.
Oh, per
So plan of conservation.
per plan of conservation and development
And development.
and conservation.
It has it. Just plan of conservation of Bill and comprehensive.
No,
Plan of conservation and development.
Right.
And this comprehensive plan is a separate document?
It's
Yeah.
a separate collection of documents. It's not really a document, it's a totality of regulations.
So we say, again, per plan of conservation and development and comprehensive plan, the commission finds that the substantial public interests clearly outweigh the need for affordable housing in the specified location, and that the application for subdivision as proposed is reasonably likely to cause harm to the public, and the risk of such harm clearly outweighs the need for affordable housing and cannot be corrected with revisions to the application. D, the public interest cannot be protected by reasonable changes to the affordable housing development. The Planning and Zoning Commission cannot consider whether any, quote, plan-specific, unquote, problems may be eliminated or adjusted by reasonable design modifications without completely reevaluating the design.
So can we change the beginning of that sentence and say the planning commission, strike and zoning?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yes. Thank you, Bill. The commission cannot require modifications of plans that may completely affect the final design and/or final lot yield. The physical, quote, site-specific, unquote, constraints associated with the proposed site cannot be changed by a decree of this commission. The commission further finds that there is substantial public interest in rejecting the affordable housing development due to the unsafe traffic conditions, potential adverse impacts on water quality, wetlands, and water resources.
We can't say that. So we can't refer to water quality, correct?
Yeah, earlier we said that that's
That's
not,
not our
Okay.
jurisdiction.
So, but we do have adverse impacts on water discharge. We can talk to
Yes,
that.
yes.
So I say that adverse impacts on water discharge,
Of water discharge.
of water discharge, and then kill the water, wetlands and water resources.
So-
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
I still,
do-
Bill?
there was no conservation referrals in this application, anything like that,
No.
right? So
Other
it's
than,
strike-
other than the erosion sedimentation control plan, which wasn't a furrow,
So I would say we strike wetlands and water resources as well.
That's what I was
Yeah.
suggesting.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I thought that's, so we just say of adverse impacts of water discharge,
Yep.
period.
water discharge? Yep.
through the planned drainage system, proposed drainage system.
Through the proposed drainage system,
Or from?
From. No?
Okay, I'm going to reread that sentence for you. That's kind of.
Okay, we got it
The
here.
and potential.
Proposed,
Water discharge. How about and of water discharge associated with the development of the site? That's,
okay, so, I'm going to begin that paragraph one more time, that sentence. The commission further finds that there is substantial public interest in rejecting the affordable housing development due to the unsafe traffic conditions and potential adverse impacts of water discharge associated with the development of the site. We further conclude that the public interest cannot be protected by reasonable changes to the proposal, and only denial of the application is practical for this site.
Mr. Abbott?
Just of clarity on the modified language, after unsafe traffic conditions.
In what number?
The last
D,
paragraph?
Last paragraph, very last paragraph. Holly, if it's okay, I'm just going to read back what we wrote as
Okay.
modified language to make sure we correctly reflect the language. The commission further finds that there is suitable public interest in rejecting the affordable housing development due to unsafe traffic conditions and of potential impacts of water discharge associated with development of the site. Period. Then we're deleting potential adverse impacts of water quality, wetlands, and water courses. The sentence continues, we further conclude that the public interest cannot be protected by reasonable changes to the proposal, and only denial of the application is practical for this site.
Okay, so I just want to.
And potential, not and of potential. Due to potential adverse impacts. Due to the unsafe traffic conditions and potential adverse impacts of water.
Okay.
Jamie, you changed the wording from substantial to suitable. Did you mean to do that when you read that?
Substantial. The
So-
commission further finds that there is substantial public interest.
Yep.
Do you have that? Okay. I read that.
Okay, so we have a motion. Motion was made by Holly Bem. Can I have a second?
It was already second.
Oh, well, how could you second? We hadn't even crafted it yet. Would you like to second it again?
I'll second.
As amended?
As in,
Thank you. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
so let's be clear, if this motion is approved, that the application is denied.
Correct. Comments, questions, anyone? Okay, all in favor of the motion to deny application 16-2, please indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed to denying the application, please say nay. Anyone abstaining from the vote?
Abstain.
One abstention, Janice, please, Gary Longariti. Okay, so the vote is five ayes, one abstention. The motion carries and the application is denied.
Mr. Chairman, we'd like to inform the commission of the next step in the statute. 8-30G subsection H says, following a decision by the commission to reject an affordable housing application, the applicant may, within the period of filing an appeal of such decision, submit to the commission a proposed modification of its proposal responding to some or all of the objections or restrictions articulated by the commission, which shall be treated as an amendment to the original proposal. Commissioner may hold a public hearing on the proposed modifications, and then the commission shall render a decision on the proposed modifications not later than 65 days after the receipt of such proposed modifications, provided if the decision and modifications, I'm losing my space here, but the applicant can do one of three things. Can do nothing and let the denial stand. Can, 2, bring an appeal, or 3, can file a modified proposal to the commission, which obligates the commission to hold a public hearing, and then have a second round of decision-making after that public hearing.
What is the time frame on a modified proposal?
I think it says 65 days, 30 days to file it, and then 65 days to render a decision.
Thank you for that clarification. Move on to the next item on our agenda. Okay, this would be actually taking up any discussions on the previously mentioned application 17-01, Coastal Crossing LLC, As discussed earlier, the applicant has asked that application, or that the public hearing be opened but tabled. So we'll have no discussion on this application at this time. New business. Mr. Rabbit, do we have any new applications that we need to
No, Mr. Chairman.
consider?
No.
Any referrals?
No.
And would you like to give us a general update on the plan of conservation and development update?
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to have Mike Linden pass out the draft POCD. I just need to grab counsel for a moment.
Okay.
It's the first draft.
This guy works fast.
There's more information that will be added to the booklet. This is just his first crack. So it's kind of giving the bones of the structure, how the document will be developed.
Sure, pictures. Very nice.
So
Funding.
I believe Glenn will be, in your meeting in April, he'll be attending, and we'll discuss this draft. We'll just confirm with Jamie when he gets back. If you want to take the time, take a look at it quick. We just received this, say 2 this afternoon. So staff hasn't really had time to digest it.
Okay.
Commission's seeing it for the first time.
Mr. Chairman, given the lateness of the hour, I suggest we all review this before our next meeting. I'd like to suggest rather than at this particular moment in time.
We'll give Mr. Rabbit a minute to come back.
It does look nice.
I fully understand your objective.
So again, Mr. Chairman, thank you for allowing me to step out of the room for a moment. Mr. Glidden has handed out the first draft of the POCD. We received this afternoon from Glenn Chaldler. We gave you a little homework tonight. His intent is to allow you adequate time to review and have on your agenda at your next regularly scheduled meeting is kind of our intent, which would be 2 weeks from now. If there, and again, we'll coordinate with Glenn on timing of that and allotted timeframes. So right now, we only have one carryover on an agenda item. We may have one other zoning matter on a potential text amendment that will be referred to you for consistency with the POCD, and it's associated with side yard setbacks and potential rear yard setbacks as they relate to parking lots and access drives in non-residential zones. Again, this is our first flush. Mike and I, in essence, it is off the presses. We've flipped through it briefly, and we'll start to review, just as you will, with regards to comments on flow, functionality, ease of read, demographic information. I will have some requests from Glenn to potentially adjust some of the requirements on the demographic information to support some grants we anticipating applying for that we need a little more socio-economical data within the POCD in order to support these grant applications. Again, a quick read of it lays out well. But again, it is a first draft. This is his first flush at identifying the goals and objectives of the community as articulated through community input as well as the commission workshops. So we don't view your input as criticisms. We review your input on refining the product and welcome that.
Very good.
We will also put this on our webpage once we receive the digital copy.
Okay. Very good. Thank you very much.
I like the historic maps too.
It's a lot more colorful than the original.
Yeah, nice.
doesn't weigh near as much.
Not done
Because
yet.
it's not finished.
It's not done
It's
yet.
the first draft, Alan.
300,000
Will grow.
revisions later.
But I anticipate the weight potentially increasing, not decreasing.
Okay, any other new business?
Just as a point of interest, we did receive an application by the Silverman Group for 200 Hot Meadow, the northern portion of the Hartford site. That was received, yes,
So that's a master plan?
It was received yesterday.
yesterday.
Master
Did we get
plan?
to review that? or-
No, master plan was already approved by the zoning commission. This is for site plan approval. And the site plan is evaluated on compliance with the master plan. They did meet with design review almost through the 2.5 weeks ago and submitted revised architecture. And design review had a few comments. We've received subsequent architecture as a result of that meeting. And I have not received any negative feedback or comments from design review based on the latest mark. We will be scanning those documents and putting them on the webpage.
You'll be sending electronic.
Can you give us highlights?
It's consistent, what's received to date as part of their application is consistent with the master plan. So it is a mix of townhouse, both 4 and 5 unit complexes, as well as 5 stacked flats, varying, I believe, from 32 to 28 units per building, as well as an assisted living facility, 2 commercial spaces, 8,000 square feet and 3,000 square feet for a total of 11. There are also proposed multi-purpose trail systems within the development and a proposal to link the project to the southern portion of the Hartford site, which requires a stream crossing, and then linking that to the existing Farmington River Trail.
How many units did you say? 200 something?
There is a total of 250. I don't want to go over that. I am under the weather this evening, severely.
Okay. We don't need to
And
tax you,
it's not
Jacob.
part of our permit.
It's over 200
right?
units.
Where's the bus?
So we have nothing to do with it, even though you're looking
We
at it?
signed off on this.
Correct. It is with the zoning commission under site plan approval.
Is it truly mixed use, or is it a mess of residences and some strip mall activity?
There are 2 commercial buildings proposed along the frontage of Hop Meadow, which are integrated into the rest of the development, but it is not vertically integrated. So it's not
So-
first floor commercial, second floor residential.
Okay, so in spite of the fact that in the charrette, people were looking at blueback light, we're just going to get a bunch of apartment buildings and some commercial.
The difference with
Clutter along
the
Hop
difference
Meadow.
with this project is you will get potentially, it's my understanding that commercial will be built in concert with the residential. So it will not be a residential project where someday in the future the commercial will be built. The commercial is built and integrated into this project.
And it's the same developer, correct? Both.
Correct.
So when you say.
Same developer as in it is the developer is the owner of the land.
So when you say 2 commercial buildings, do you mean one business would be in one building, or would it be
They
a building
are,
with multiple businesses?
the tenant mix is unknown. It could be one single tenant in a building, or it could be multiple tenant buildings. But again, they are 2 separate buildings. One is proposed to be 8,000 square feet, the other is 3,000 square feet. Both are modeled after historic architecture that exists in the town. One, in essence, takes its vernacular from the 1820 house. So they're not
Better looking.
vanilla boxes.
Not historic from a couple of years ago.
They have no idea whether they're
From
getting at
Andy's era.
food or restaurant or clothing.
I'm sure if you have someone in mind for them, they would
Okay.
appreciate
What
it.
kind of, and Jamie, what kind of existing commercial or retail building around here is 8,000 square feet? Just so I can get an idea of scale, because my house is 2,000 square feet on 2 floors. So,
That's a few
What
of
is
your
18,
houses.
How big is Andy?
Fitzy's is what,
I know.
20-something? 25,000, something like that?
a typical, say Applebee's, if people are familiar with the size of an Applebee's or a Chili's, is typically just hovers around 4,000 square feet. So you're looking at kind of the size of 2 restaurant pads.
okay.
Again, if the master plan is on our existing webpage under development proposals.
Okay.
And they do show sample architecture for those buildings. These are not, they're not, 8,000 square feet is not a 2-story colonial building. It is a larger building than that. A 2-story colonial building, typically, traditional center hall chimney is 28 by 36 or 26 by 32. They're in that realm. These are bigger buildings. 8,000 square feet
Yeah.
is 80 by 100. If you look at
On one
them
floor.
on one floor.
So even though the Hartford was set back, and again, at the charrette, the people liked the fact that the Hartford had not disturbed
There
the
is a
view lines.
requirement that all the buildings be set back 100 feet from Hop Meadow and landscaped and screened.
So, but will that be parking lot?
No. Landscape buffer 100 feet off of Hop Meadow.
Few sheds?
So these
Yeah.
buildings will be set back. They will be they will be visible, but they are not brought up to the curb.
How would you cross, you're calling it a stream, that wetland strip that runs through there, how would you cross that?
They are proposing to do, anyone a golfer in the room? Has anybody been on a golf course with a golf cart path?
Yeah.
That is
Blue
driven
Fox
with
has-
pylons and then decked with
Blue
wood?
Fox has over the Farmington.
So they're proposing to do a pylon system with wood decking and then a bridge over the stream channel. Similar to a
Conservation seen
golf
that?
course,
Yeah.
golf cart path. It will be wide, a little bit wider to accommodate maintenance vehicles.
You done?
I'm done.
I move we adjourn.
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And anyone abstaining? The meeting is adjourned at 9.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.